Hi guys, in this video I'm going to explain the difference between containerization and virtualization. So what will be the major difference between these two? So if you see this diagram, so the left side one is Docker architecture and the right side one is virtual machine architecture. In Docker architecture, if we see we have hardware and we have operating system, container engine, binaries, libraries, and applications. In virtual machine architecture also we have found similar one, right? So here we have hardware and here also I have hardware. Same here also operating system and operating system. The difference comes here only, container engine and hypervisor. So let me explain in detail. So first of all, let me explain what is containerization. So in containerization, generally we will use hardware. On top of this hardware, we will use a host operating system. So on top of this host operating system, we will have a Docker engine. Okay, this container engine means a Docker engine. So by using this Docker engine, we can deploy containers. Okay, so generally in Docker architecture we have a Docker client and a Docker daemon. Okay, in Docker client we will give some commands to execute. Okay, so this Docker client will send this commands to the Docker daemon. So this Docker daemon will execute that commands. Okay, so like that we have a Docker architecture. In this Docker architecture, the Docker engine will perform all these tasks. Okay, so on top of this Docker engine we will deploy containers. So generally if we see Docker if we see this diagram, we can see binaries and libraries. Okay, in container we will only have limited binaries and libraries to run a software. We won't have complete operating system files. Okay, and also this container will share operating system with host operating. Okay, host operating system. Okay, container will not have its own operating system. It always share with host operating system. Okay, so that's why containers are light in weight, because it won't have its own kernel. It always share its kernel with the host machine kernel, and also it won't have a complete binaries and libraries. Okay, and if we see the virtual machine architecture, in virtual machine architecture also we have hardware, we have operating system on top of the hardware, but here on top of operating system we have a hypervisor. Okay, we can in generally in 5-6 years back we will use a Nitro or some sorry Zen hypervisor we have used in 5 to 6 years back, I think so. But currently we have a Nitro hypervisor we are using. So this hypervisor will be used to divide virtual machines. Okay, so on top of hypervisor we will have guest OS. So this guest OS we can call it as virtual machine. Okay, every virtual machine will have its own OS. It won't share its OS with the host operating system. Okay, it will have its own OS. On top of this guest OS we will deploy applications. Okay, if you see in virtual machines, every virtual machine will have complete binaries and libraries, and also it has its own OS. That's why it is in heavyweight. But in Docker it won't have a complete binaries and libraries, and also it won't have a kernel. Okay, it always share with host operating system. Okay, so these are the main differences between virtual machine and containers. So in containerization we will use a limited kind of binaries and libraries. In virtualization we will use a complete set of binaries and libraries, and its own OS. So that's it, guys. These are the main differences between containerization and virtualization. So if you have any doubts, please do comments in comment section. Okay, I'll give reply to the every comment. Okay, thank you so much, guys.